So, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our webinar. My name is Dee. I am the project manager here at Solarplaza. Also, our topic today is Greenfields and red flags, what to look out for in your project. Now, the reason for this topic is due to the fact that as of this moment in time, the industry in Romania is at an interesting inflection point and it's experiencing a period of remarkable growth, making it the ideal moment for any company to get involved. But legislative challenges still remain, as you will learn from our expert speakers today, and many updates that are incoming that will then change the playing field. So then this webinar is to provide you with a practical market perspective from two experienced developers and perhaps to help you perceive the Romanian solar market through their eyes and through their experience. And at the end of it, we hope to leave you with an understanding of what are the challenges ahead, what our esteemed speakers are looking towards, what works, what doesn't work, and what opportunities is there really that everyone's really excited for. So the idea is that it's going to be 30 minutes and with a lot of time for questions. And that's the most important part here. So please, there is a question box on your screen. Write in any questions that you want, of course, Danielle and Andrea to respond to, because I think that will be the most valuable part of this webinar as well. So a quick introduction, which I'm sure you're familiar if you didn't already know at Solar Plaza. We do solar conferences, and the goal is to share knowledge and network. And this webinar is the lead up to our event in Romania, of which our speakers will also be there in person, I'm pretty sure. So that will be great. So practical notes, again, any questions, there's a Q&A chat box. You can see it, there is a bar on your screen, and you can then write in any questions there. I will then ask them to the speaker or both of the speakers. And if there are any technical issues that you're struggling with, you can also use the chat box. We have a really technical whiz here, Bo, behind the scenes that will do that. And also to share the presentation slides and the full recordings will be available afterwards. So you'll receive an email and you will get all of that as well. So this is the agenda. Of course, I have the great pleasure of moderating these two people today, and we will have some presentations. So we will do introductions now. I will introduce them briefly. They would then go into introducing themselves, sharing a short case study, and then we will open into an introduction on the Romanian market briefly by Danielle, and then it's an open discussion on everything, anything and everything important. So Danielle, he is a managing director at SolarCap Investments. Danielle, I invite you to quickly introduce yourself and share a little bit about the case study and your experience as a developer.
Yes, hello Dee, thanks for a graceful presentation. Hello everybody. My name is Daniel Pintilie. I am active in the energy sector for more than 18 years, 19 years now. I've been facing the entire energy industry, mainly renewable, trading, micro, electromobility. I'm recently developing projects from greenfield up to ready to build. My goal today is more to explain and try to give an insightful information about how project development works from the perspective as an investor. As I was saying, I recently invested in a small solar project, which I built it from greenfield ready to build and successfully sold it as well to another investor. So I think my expertise in this field might be interesting. Yeah, pretty much it's about myself.
Thank you, Danielle. And we also have joining us Andrea. So she is a financial director from Nofar. Andrea, I invite you to introduce yourself, the company, and talk briefly on a case study as well.
Hi to everyone. My name is Andrea Glicel. I'm a financial manager in Nofar. Actually, joining Nofar 1 year already. I have a background of financing in project finance, real estate, and moreover in energy sector. So I have plenty experience in this experience in financing. As also Daniel mentioned, my goal in this webinar is to give you some insight in terms of financing the clean energy sector and how can we make the renewable project profitable in these current circumstances. So that's all on me. I will briefly present my company. Nofar, it's an Israeli group established 12 years ago. We started with some floating project in Israel and rooftop project 12 years ago. And 3 years ago, we started our expansion in Europe. You can move forward, Bob, to the next slide, please. We have currently several markets where where we are present. Romania being one of the core businesses in Nofar Group, where we have almost 1 giga of PV plants and also other projects in pipeline to be developed until 2025. Beside Romania, we are present in Spain, Poland, Italy, UK, Greece, Germany. We are also developing storage. We are one of the largest storage player in UK. So we have plenty experience on this renewable sector. Bob, please, next. And this is one slide that is showing everything about our company worldwide. We have, as we mentioned, 1 giga of project already connected and producing revenues. If we are speaking about Romania, we have just connected the largest PV park in the Southeastern Europe, Rateș project, which is developed with one of our partners, and another 350 megawatts in construction phase. The rest on up to 1 giga, it's under developing and shall start the construction in the nearest future. Next slide, please. As I mentioned, this is our worldwide exposure. We have 2 mega solar worldwide and 1 mega and 200 megawatts hour for storage. And I have also a Romanian study case to present it a little bit more detail our portfolio. In Romania, we started our presence, our activity in 2 years ago. At the beginning, we thought that we will not be able to reach this large amount of project. We were thinking that maybe 200 megawatts it will be ready to build, but we managed to secure up to 800 megawatts PV projects. As we mentioned already, a project operational 155 megawatts Rateș project, and another 300 under construction, and up to 1 mega it will be under developing until 2025. So this is plainly what we are doing, what we have done, and what we have achieved in the last 2 years. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that, Andrea. It's really, really interesting. And we'll come back to this to discuss as well how both of you have perceived the changes. But for now, as promised, Danielle, if you could take the floor and quickly walk through our audience on the picture right now before we go into the discussion.
Yes, thank you, Dee. It's always nice to see such an investor like Nofar, which is very much committed to put their money on the table, like we say in Romania. So that's a very good example how they managed to do this thing happens in Romania, one of the first. So going back to Romania, I guess one of the first things which is relevant for an emerging country like it is Romania is, of course, financing and how fast can you move in a growing market. Romania, since last year, is facing a huge demand in building PV. As expected. We had some struggles. We still have some struggles. There is a lot of pressure from investor to come to Romania. I'm facing on a weekly basis discussions with the investor aiming to enter Romania, targeting growing presence in this region, and that shows a quite large interest to invest in Romania. So regarding the expectation for the solar business mainly, but also renewable itself, is of course a huge increase. Everybody is expecting like 1,000 megawatt by the end of this year to be put in operations. What we've seen last year, a lot of permits on the paper, which somehow blocked the grid, and that came as not a surprise, but uncomfortable situation for all the other investors willing to invest in the market. So let's say we have like 30,000-40,000 megawatts permitting on the paper, requirements, applications pending, and most probably on less than 10-20% from that amount will be realistic made to happen. So as I said, we expect this year 2024 like 1,000 megawatt to be put in to be permitted and put in operations in Romania. That might come as optimistic, but as I said, given the high interest in this market and the ongoing improvement in the legislations, which is happened last year and still happening this year, I'm very positive and very confident that this will happen and the trend will be the same.
Okay, that's a very interesting and optimistic perspective. Andrea, I wanted to know if you share this perspective as well about the 1,000 megawatt.
Yes, I really hope that this it will be achieved. However, we are counting also on the authorities and also on the financial institution to support developing of this renewable sector in Romania. Yeah, it's challenging, but still, I literally believe that with all the efforts can be achieved.
Okay, but this is something that I suppose developers or investors cannot achieve alone. So if we look like in the future, if we achieved our targets, leading up to that, we need the legislation. And what else has to change? Maybe we can look about what you guys are looking forward to in that aspect that would help us reach that target.
I think the main challenge of Romanian market is indeed the legislation, and then is how the authorities and how the market is prepared for this increase of renewables. So first thing I will say that we need to think also about the grid connections, what we are going to do with these grid connections, how they are going to support the amount of projects that are going to be developed in the nearest future. Secondly, what is happening with the financial support? Because currently, without having a PPA market very developed in this respect, the financial institutions are not very willing to finance projects only based on merger structure. So we need to somehow let's say make the financials institutions and the investors to be more relaxed on merchant risk. And secondly, we need to all together we need to educate the market of takers and the traders in terms of PPA market, because currently in Romania, unfortunately, we do not have PPA players. From my perspective, the market is not educated yet, so we all together need to do some efforts in this respect.
Okay. Daniel, do you have anything to add?
That's a very good point regarding PPA. Of course, the standard PPA definition is very much different to what happens now in the Romanian market. We have only, let's say, 5 or 6 kind of PPAs which have been closed so far, but they're not that normal PPA. So one of the reasons is that, again, the market is not educated, but more than that is that the expectations regarding the price for the energy price in Romania are not very clear, because the government has capped the energy price to protect the customer, and that brings an additional burden over the energy price. And given this exposure, nobody is willing to guarantee a long-term price for the energy, and therefore we have the situation that we have not less, but little interest in offering a long-term. When I'm saying long-term, 10 years. So that is a real PPA, 1 to 10 years, which is not happening yet in the real way. And yeah, everybody's expecting this to change, specifically because we've seen this last week. I would say we had some good news over the European Commission. Romania has been approved under the contract for difference support scheme, 3 billion euro, which is a lot of money allocated to Romania renewable market, and that will go half of the money for solar, half of for the wind generating units. So that should bring more more clearness over the renewable market in Romania, and should bring more safetiness for the player.
And I will add here that not only this, somehow also the off-takers and the traders are waiting so much for this CFD in order to have, let's say, a more correct image over the price of energy. So everybody is expecting the CFD auction in order to see what is the real price of renewable energy in the market. So, from our perspective, it will be a very interesting step done in this respect, which probably will unblock also the PPA market in Romania after the CFD.
Okay, Daniel, you
Yeah.
have a bit of a trading background. Is there any perspective on that here?
Regarding what? Sorry.
So I think Andrea mentioned that the off-takers and the traders are waiting for what will follow from this. Is there anything to add from your trading background?
Um, Trading is very much pragmatical business, I would say.
Okay.
As long as you can take some risk position in the market if you think you have the, let's say, the mandate to do that. But usually everybody is looking for safetiness, long-term safetiness regarding price predictions. But apart from that, what I also see interesting for this year in Romania, in this market, is we will see more and more investments, not only in renewable but in the storage business. The
Okay.
storage, I personally see it as the next thing in the market, specifically in Romania, where there is a lot of renewable expected to come into the market and to replace the standard gas and coal units. And of course, having that much renewable requires some other generating, not intermittent, but more like long-term expected generation, which for the moment they are missing. We have some nuclear, which is very much constant, but otherwise storage will be the thing which will offer the stability for the system. So coming back to what I was saying, I expect a lot of investment in the market in the storage as a standalone business, which I see it as a more and more a business case in Romania, specifically if you sell the power in the balancing market. If you qualify for the ancillary service, that will be a very huge business in Romania, specifically given the high price in the balancing market, and again the expected high renewable in the market. Yeah, so that's also my expectations for the years to come, and specifically this year. We have a little storage for the moment, I guess, below 10 megawatts hour in the storage, not mistaken. But that's about to change. I've seen at least a lot of discussion, and last week I was attending a conference in Bucharest, and some Transelectrica representative, they have officially confirmed they have around 5,000 megawatt studies for storage, hybrid and standalone. So that's another sign that the interest is high in this market, and we should expect some interesting things to see here.
Andrea, I believe Nofar has experience in storage.
Yes, indeed. I wanted to underline also that from our perspective, this renewable sector without storage cannot say too much things, because beside the fact that we have a huge pipeline of ATRs issued, we don't know for sure how many of that project it will be implemented or not. But still, the grid is not prepared yet for the amount of renewable project. And as also Daniel mentioned, the balancing, it's really important for the renewable sector. So adding storage to the renewable project, it's a must from our perspective, and this is what we are doing at Nofar. All our previous project has co-located storage batteries. And yes, we are looking to develop this business in Romania, as we have similar experience in other countries.
Okay, thank you both for that. And I think also I have maybe more of a question from my perspective. You can correct me as well if it's a bit naive. But from what I can see, it seems as though there's a lot of stuff that we are looking forward to and a lot of stuff that we're hoping that and waiting for the government to do. But what I also see right now is Andrea and Danielle as two quite successful developers that have found also maybe some workarounds or maybe some way of adapting to maybe uncertain legislation. So I was curious to know, given all this like waiting and uncertainties, how did both of you manage, or how did the projects happen anyway?
When we enter in this market, actually the management board of Nofar was thinking what will do us different to the other competitors, and what we thought that will be different between the others competitors is the speed that we were considered. So we are lucky, let's say, that we have equity resources to develop all these projects, and our idea from the beginning is to have a large portfolio of projects from the beginning. So that's why we have almost reached 1 giga of solar in our portfolio in Romania, that will be built and operational until 2026 latest. Let's say it like this. So what made us differently is how we saw the market from the beginning. So we thought that we need to be there in the pole position every single time. So this is what made us to focus on, and to consider the fact that we're not working in Romania only some blocks that can be sold, and move further with the development. We never stop, even if we had a lot of issues on the way. We thought about our goal, and this reached to 1 giga in our portfolio. But indeed, yes, on the development side, and here Daniel has more experience than me, it's very challenging. Every single time we are facing a new modification in the legislation. The local authorities, from my perspective, are not ready yet for the plenty of projects that are going to be implemented. So there should be huge action taken by the authorities, by the government, in order to support developing of this sector in Romania.
Daniel, I believe it'll be interesting to hear your perspective.
Absolutely. I mean, being a project developer, in my case, it was, I would say, from one perspective, easier because I was not a large corporation, somehow struggling with some procedures. But my target was to keep the quality of my work, to find qualitative projects from day one, and working with the right partners, the right people, aiming to finish the project in a very good condition. Um, in Romania, specifically renewable project development, it is something exotic for most of the authorities, specifically in rural areas. So discussing with them, convincing them that what we are trying to develop in that region is something beneficial for the regions, that comes as a big challenge. And of course, adding on that all the hassle of this paperwork and all the permitting in place, you should come. It should come also with a lot of motivation from my side as a developer to even educate those authorities during this process and help them understand better why it should be done like this, and why something should be differently. Um, it is challenging from so many perspectives, but again, my goal was to um, identify only those and work only with those people which knows what are they doing, selecting only qualitative locations in terms of land rights, in terms of grid availability, and not wasting time and money discussing with people which they don't understand and change their mind after a few days. So that was a mandate for me. Sometimes did happen successfully, most of the time not. So I would say that it's a trial and error process, and also motivation is the main factor to move things, and finding the right people to work with during the entire process.
So thank you. And one thing that you both mentioned is the grid. So that's one question before we have a few audience questions that I also want to get to. But so both of you have mentioned that there are a lot of projects in the pipeline and limited grid connection, as well as new rules will happen starting next year. So with this in mind, what do people have to consider? And specifically, even do we have to be worried about future grid connections in it? What can we do here?
I may say something here, if I may, Andrea. Just until, I mean, by the end of this year, the market will stay more or less the same, but starting next year, we'll have in place different rules regarding grid connections, regarding the guarantee we have to pay, guarantees which until now were not required. So that comes as a natural step, natural process during this the development of the Romanian market is a maturation process, I would say, normally and expected somehow, because I was saying at the beginning, a lot last year, until last year or a year before, everybody which had some money in their pocket and had a plot of land, they were allowed to at least try to apply for a permitting for a grid, and that comes as with good and bad things. Unfortunately, it came with a lot of bad things in our case in Romania, because they block a lot the grid on the paper. And if you look on the TSO website, you will see 40, 50,000 megawatts applications, which is huge and unlogical for our energy system. And that's why by the end of this year, most of these ATR will expire, and only a few projects will be put in operations by whatever the end of next year. To avoid these things, the law is about to change, and starting next year, we will see some tendering process, some bond requirements, which will allow the serious investor to participate in the market and to develop the project as it should be. And I guess this year is the window opportunity for everybody else trying to fit in and to continue this small or large project under the present rules. But starting next year, this is about to change. I don't see it something very bad. I see it as a normal step for this market to grow and to mature. And yeah, I think it's a positive thing. What will happen? It
Also,
will
this
be
is my
costly to do projects. It will be costly, but that's the point, to allow only those which are really motivated to build projects to do projects.
Also, this is our opinion because indeed we have faces a lot of let's see bottlenecks because of plenty of projects in several areas of Romania that has been projects that haven't been built yet. Considering that we are targeting several areas in Romania, we are still in the line for some room in the grid because the projects that are currently having ATR are not going to be built. So indeed, the modification in the legislation it's waiting also by us, and I think also for the sector it's good because in this way, indeed, we are going to have a renewable energy market in Romania and not only a pipeline of ATRs. So this
So
should
we
be
will
the plus.
shift from opportunistic towards more professional business, as it should be.
Exactly.
Well, it's a great agreement. So we have an audience question, a few. So one is from Soren. So do you have any experience in building photovoltaic parks on pastures? And is this possible?
Mhm. I have faced this topic, but I have elegantly avoided it. So if I could have avoided, I would avoid it because if you find a pasture, you are obliged by law to replace it with a different surface, similar surface in a different area. It is possible, but it's a little bit more complicated. So my personal advice, if you want to keep it simple, just find a different location. But if you are still motivated to use that pasture, yeah, of course you can use it and you can successfully build a project as well. But I usually I prefer not to do this. I prefer clear and simple and very fast moving things, specifically in these times when every month is important.
In my case, I prefer to not respond to this because I'm not involved in developing phase, so I'm not having very more details about this topic. But sounds logic what Daniel is mentioning, so let's uh, let's follow the simplest way.
Yeah, that's a good solution for life even. So people are also curious. It's just maybe asking for both of you to comment on. It's just an open question. It's from anonymous, but what about PPAs in general? And is it something that you guys are looking forward to it, or I'm sure you have your strong opinions. Andrea, I'll let
Uh,
you.
Andrea,
Yeah, thank you. So yeah, it's quite challenging. You know, once I had done the switch from the banking sector to the investor sector in renewable energy, it was quite complicated for me to understand why the off-takers, why the corporate companies in Romania do not want to secure their cash flow. Because mainly this is the idea. Once you are signing a PPA, you are securing the cost of your main, let's say, resource in your business. So this is simple what the PPA is doing. Then when I target several of takers in order to discuss over the PPA, I saw that they have plenty different opinion that I had as a formal banker and also as now in my position as a financial manager in a renewable company. The idea is that they do not know what tomorrow will bring, so they are preferring to stay on merchant risk. And from my perspective as a financial manager and as a formal banker, I would suggest to think about the insurance, to think about how to secure a cash flow, because this is how a cash flow of a company shall start from, put all in the cost and to secure them as fast as possible, because tomorrow, we had the experience with the war in Ukraine, when we saw the how much the energy price can increase. Secondly, the renewable sector is now the trend. We cannot reach the goal of the decarbonization using continuous nuclear energy and gas and so on. We need to do the transition to the renewables sector, and without green energy in corporate portfolio, we cannot do it. And this is how we can secure the decarbonization through signing long-term agreement for buying green energy. As I mentioned also previously, Romania currently is not a market that it's sufficient educated in this perspective. Let's remember ourselves that until 2020, these bilateral agreements has been banned by the government, by the authorities. So what can we say now? We have only 4 years from that moment. We are now facing huge numbers of renewables projects coming in the market. Everybody is expecting that this cannibalization effect will also push for the price. But it's not only that. You can have plenty of way for concluding a PPA connected to the daily markets or formula prices. So are plenty of way to conclude the PPA. Is just willing and to have the mindset that you need to conclude a long-term contract for mainly resource in the OPEX of a company. So this is my perspective. And I encourage if there are any off-takers or traders that are watching this webinar to look from this perspective, because this is actually what is blocking the PPA development in Romania, because we do not have yet the mindset of long-term agreements in our companies.
It's very, very
I would add,
interesting.
if possible, and I would add on what Andrea has said already. PPA requires a guarantee, or provides a guarantee for a floor price. Usually, the off-takers are, let's say, traders, given this example, and also given the recent legal limitations where traders, they have a limited revenue cap for their activity, that brings no incentive for any traders to involve in such risky activity like taking power and selling, trading the energy over the counter or on whatever they prefer. So again, the market mechanism as it is designed right now, the government intervention has limited the appetite for these market players to guarantee any floor price and guarantee any long-term offtake agreement. That's why, apart from the education, which is missing in terms of PPA appetite, this market intervention, this government intervention, has diminished the possibility to have a proper PPA in place. So we should aim for a more open market rather than government intervention, which at some point is necessary, but you have to see the entire picture, not only the interest of the end consumer, which was the case. We cannot hear you.
Yes, thank you. So, I mean, both of these are really strong conclusions, at least to the PPA. So aiming for a more open market, and maybe the goal is to look for more long-term agreements, which is something that we can work towards. I want to wrap up with maybe one final question for you both, which is maybe one future forward statement, perhaps, on what you believe the Romanian market is capable of, and the solar market, of course. And let's maybe end on a note of optimism. And Daniel, should we start with you?
Mhm. make Romania great again. Don't leave Romania investment. And,
Okay,
uh,
Andrea?
any,
Yeah, it's a nice way saying, Daniel. I would say that Romania has a great opportunity to show its value. So let's count on this and let's support Romanian growth in this perspective.
All right. I want to say thank you to you both for joining the webinar. And yet, that was a great open discussion. I would like to tell all our attendees that we can continue this conversation. It's a shame that it ends so short as people are still very interested, but we can continue this conversation with Daniel and Andrea at our conference as well. And they will be there. So, with that in mind, you can use this code as a thank you for joining the webinar. And I would like to say one final thank you to Andrea and Daniel. Thank you for joining us and sharing your really honest and your very clear experience. I think it was very useful, especially for anyone looking to join the Romanian market. So thank you once again. And thank you to everyone for joining. I hope you have a good afternoon. And yeah, thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you.
thank
Bye.
you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Goodbye.